start with a song. Isn't it wonderful to have the band? We got bongo drums going on too. Wow. Okay. So we've got James, one of our new shepherding deacons, as well as Mindy and Josh, and they're going to lead us in the song By Faith.
Let's all stand together. Prove his faithfulness, who walk by faith and not by sight. By faith our fathers roamed the earth, with the power of his promise in their hearts, of a holy city built by God's own hand, where peace and justice reign. We will stand as children of the promise. We will fix our eyes on him, our soul's reward, till the race is finished and the work is done. We'll walk by faith and not by sight. The prophets saw a day when the longed-for Messiah would appear, with the power to break the chains of sin and death, and rise triumphant from the grave. By faith the church was called to go in the power of the Spirit to the lost, to deliver captives and to preach good news in every corner of the world. We will stand as children of the promise. We will fix our eyes on him, our souls reward, till the race is finished and the work is done. We'll walk by faith and not by sight. This mountain shall be moved, and the power of the gospel shall prevail. For we know in Christ all things are possible, for all who call upon his name. And we will stand as children of the promise. We will fix our eyes on him, our soul's reward, till the race is finished and the work is done. We'll walk by faith and not by sight. Sing that one more time. We will stand as children of the promise. We will fix our eyes on him, our soul's reward, and not by sight.
Okay, what I'd like to do now is a very brief devotional, and let's go right to it. And it involves homework, by the way, as you'll see me mention. I just wanted to share, I've called this Cloud of Witnesses, that a couple of friends completely, randomly recently mentioned something from Hebrews 12, and the phrase cloud of witnesses, and that's found there. And then last Sunday, Josh and Mindy and the band at 9 o'clock played that song by Faith for us. And I'd been thinking, Rachel asked me to lead this workshop, and I'd been thinking about, what to do maybe for a song, and I wasn't sure. And I heard that song, and I was just like, well, that's got to be it, and I got to ask these folks to play it. And then I got to thinking about a devotional, and I was thinking about, well, a couple people had mentioned Hebrews 12, and then I go and read Hebrews 12, and it makes a reference that makes me want to go read Hebrews 11. And Hebrews 11, 20 times? I don't know how many times the phrase by faith, is in Hebrews 11, and I'm like, wow, that's a God thing right there. Because I've already picked a song before I picked this devotional, and it's, you can see how my mind, how all that happened. Anyways, so we're going to read the first 3 verses of Hebrews 12, kind of as a closing prayer for this little devotional, and we'll do that in a minute. But what I want to do is give you guys some homework. I want to ask you all to go sometime this week and read chapters 11 and 12. Of Hebrews. And, so my little devotional is really about chapter 11 that I want you to go and read. And what you'll find is, if you haven't read it recently, which I hadn't, that it's an easy, familiar, and encouraging read. You'll enjoy reading it. It starts off defining faith, something we've seen this many times before. It says, faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. And then it goes on to describe these great Old Testament events that took place all by faith. And then it's really that thing, this description of these events is like an Old Testament who's who. It's got Abel and Noah and Abraham, lots of stuff on Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, some other people that are less famous. And I just want to say that I was reading my study Bible, and it was saying that it took 1,600 years for the church to realize that Paul probably didn't write this. And one of the ways that struck me that maybe is proof that he didn't write it is, after it gives this description of all these people, then it says, and I don't have time, that the author says, I don't have time to tell you about, Gideon and Samuel and David and all these others. Anyway, it's a great read. So go read it. And I'm going to close our devotional by reading Hebrews 12, 1 through 3. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Amen. Okay. Next, I want everyone to stand up. Is everyone done eating? It's 12:51, so you're supposed to be done. I don't care. You can finish your cookie later, Steph. Okay. I want everyone to stand up, please. And for the next 5 minutes or so, this room has one of my favorite things, and I think maybe it kicked in when I was 10, is maps. I just love maps. I love my iPhone, and when I'm really bored and there's 3 light changes before my car can move. Well, anyway, I like to look at maps. So this room's a map right now. Okay? So right now, that tree over there is the tip of Maine, and that piano over there is Seattle, and San Diego is way over there somewhere, and you get it, Miami's over there somewhere. I want everyone, when they were 10, think about when you were 10, and go to the place you lived when you were 10. All right, so I forgot to mention that if you weren't born in the United States of America, then you need to smash yourself against the wall. You do not need to go over to the next neighborhood. Okay. You're against, huh? I am in Michigan right now. Whatever. Hurry up. Or not. Now, can everyone hear me? Okay, this isn't working. All right. Where? Okay. All right. Now, shush. Now, what I want everyone to do is to make sure that they're juxtaposed properly. Okay, their neighbors need to be, north, south, east, and west of them appropriately. Okay, so everyone seems to not know where Michigan is. It's over there. Okay. Now, I'm sorry that Seattle is all by yourself and whatever. But, sorry? Okay, don't tell me where Indiana is. What I want you guys to do is figure out where you belong by talking to your neighbors. That's the point of this icebreaker. I'm in North Alabama, by the way. You're from Georgia. All right. You were there when you were 10. Okay. Now, make sure that you're appropriately next to your neighbor and visit with your neighbor. Okay? If you're, 3 states west of them, you can actually come in closer. Okay. Get to know your neighbors. Where? Yes. Okay. Is time up? Look at all the Michiganders. No, you're not. Yankees. There. North Alabama, which is right next to Georgia. Okay, folks, is this on? Yeah. Let's gravitate back to our chairs. Sorry. No, I was wondering. Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, okay. Okay, was there anything really exciting that came out of that conversation, or was it just great conversation? That's good. I'm glad. I'm shocked at all the Michiganders we have here. Well, You're about the last person to learn that, Lilia. No, okay. Yes. Awesome. Now, before we get started, Larry's got some deacon business to quickly cover.
And this is going to be real quick, but it's a few housekeeping things. In case y'all are not familiar, don't forget you have boxes right upstairs in that mail room up there. Be sure and check your boxes on a regular basis. And then on the table, there is a sign up for a homebound communion. Just leave it on the table when you're through, and we'll pick it up afterwards. And then July 28th is our deacon board meeting. And that's it. Yes. Thorough. Thorough. The homebound communion is for the remainder of this calendar year? Okay, but not for next year. Okay, and Thorough, by the way, is the chair of our homebound communion group. That's why I asked her. Yeah, the 28th, July 28th is a regular board meeting. It's one of our quarterly board meetings. It is for everyone. Yes, it is. It is the first official board meeting for this class, or these two classes, and it'll be right after church. Oh. So one more quick comment, and then I'll turn this back over to Bob because I didn't want to take over his meeting. But the leadership team is dividing up y'all to kind of be I'll say your point of contact for y'all, and your shepherding deacons for y'all, as well as we will be your automatic backup if you're out of town or something like that. And we'll divide that up, and we'll let you know who those are sometime soon. We haven't divided that up yet. Okay? That would be good to put in the letter, so we'll divide it up next week. Okay, it'll be next week. We'll let you know, okay? And if you don't put it out, that's another excuse to write a second letter to your group. And not that you need excuses, but it's always good to communicate. Anything else before I give the phone back to Mike?
Thank you, Larry. Okay, I kind of have just a few lead-in comments for us for our workshop today. So this is, Rachel asked me last fall to kind of lead a team that looked at the deacon board and asked how effective, kind of assess its effectiveness. And a few of the things that came out of it, one of is, it's a challenge. And thank you all. What a great turnout, by the way, too, today. Thank you all for signing up to be deacons and for coming today. And one of the things we sort of determined was there's real value in this business of call it healthy relationships, this business of connecting with our congregation. So to have deacons and flocks at a kind of a number ratio that facilitates that, we determined it is important, and we need to keep going forward, in spite of the fact that some of us are naturals at this task, what I'm going to call naturals at this task of making a deacon. Things like comfortable reaching out to folks we don't know very well. A lot of us are not. Okay. But really, all Christians are called to the work. If you we've all been trained. A lot of you are new deacons, so you've gone to the training and you learned about the Book of Order and what it has to say. And I give a reference there, to really what a deacon is called to do. And if you read that, you say to yourself, "Gosh, all Christians are called to this." We're kind of all called to be deacons. And certainly what I found for myself is that deacon work takes us to thin spaces. And I think that's maybe what Rachel's sermon was 2 or 3 weeks ago, or something she mentioned. Deacon work takes us to thin places. when we connect in and we do this work, there's spiritual formation for us. So a key recommendation, coming from our review team last year, was to say, okay, let's call it what it is. Not something a lot of people are natural at. So let's try some workshops like this to facilitate this work. And so today is the very first inaugural workshop. So on behalf of the Deacon leadership team that David mentioned, please think about how this goes and give us feedback. And we're going to try to have several workshops, maybe like 4 a year, on different topics. Let us know, how it went, how we could do better. Today's topic is how do I introduce myself to my flock? And as I mentioned, there are amongst us some naturals at this business. And so next I want to ask a few of them to come up and share the approach that they've taken in contacting their flocks. And kind of just maybe spend a few minutes each telling us how that goes, and and how it's continuing to work out. So if with no further ado, Bill Palmer and Carissa Simmons and Lilia Sprague would please come up and have a seat, and let's just kind of see how this goes. But what I would like to ask you to do, each of you have been kind enough to say that you'll come up and share. I want to start first, before I hand the mic off, to say that I also invited Carla Lawson, and if I can find my notes. Okay, thank you. You'll see on the table there the letters that Carissa wrote. There's 1 or 2 of those on each table. There should be, as well as I think Bill provided a couple of his letters there as well. And then there's also some stuff from Carla. And so here's Carla's email that was attached to what I handed out for her. And what she says is, look, at the kind of at the high level, her suggestion for incoming shepherds is to start simple. So kind of just a basic thought there, start simple. And then she's including an example of a letter that she composed. One is if the flock member is someone that she's real familiar with, and one where she doesn't know them at all. So kind of a little different spin or the way of introducing it depending on that. And then she's also got some stuff in there, kind of a pinwheel calendar of suggestions of when you might want to go about contacting them, and then another one about kind of methods you might go through. So that's my way of introducing Carla's thoughts to you. And let's go to Lilia, if she would maybe just share some thoughts.
Greetings. How are you today? For me, I did not send a letter. I thought about that, but my personality, I'm just a social creature by nature, and I am someone that likes to pick up the telephone. So although I sent my magnet and with my email address and my phone number, my cell phone, with a little smiley face, I actually called, which I know that a lot of folks will send a letter and call, or some may just send a letter. I personally chose to make the phone call. And I had amazing conversations with, I would say, out of my 9 families, 7 of them, and some who had not been to church in a while, in particular a gentleman, and at that point I had also was involved with the homebound communion. So I would reach out to him and ask if we could come and bring him homebound communion. But I think reaching out to him and just having that that over the phone conversation, introducing myself, I thought went very well for that individual. The other families, I found some that I have a little girl, Lelia Cameron, who just turned 3, and I found a few of the families that had children and dogs, and unfortunately last year we had lost a couple of our golden retrievers, and I had spoken to a family, and one of the families I spoke to, they had just lost a dog, and so I was able to relate, just through some personal experiences of my own with that family. And then there was actually a couple of them who I could not get a hold of on the phone, and I couldn't find them in the CLPC on the website as far as their picture to find out who these folks were. But fortunately, one Sunday, the friendship pad came back down, and there was her name and her husband's name. And during the greeting, I jumped up and made a beeline straight to this family and introduced myself. And later found out that they had an old phone number that we had actually updated with the church. But I had personal conversations with the families in my flock, and I think that for me, that personability and that contact with them and letting them know that I was available for them for whatever their needs were and for prayer. And then what I've done to follow up with that is I have sent Easter cards, birthday cards, to whether it was the mom or the dad or to children. I am super patriotic. I sent 4th of July cards, and just every Christmas card, Thanksgiving, and that is how I have maintained contact. And I have my some of the families who have actually called me and reached out to me. I will use one more example. One was a family that I knew I had met but didn't realize that there was a medical need there, or a medical issue that needed prayer. But because I was familiar with that person and would see them at church, was able to reach out on that, at church, be able to reach out and speak to them without them having to, pick up the phone and call me. They knew who I was, and they were able to ask me for prayer, and so that's worked for me as well.